All right, rolling. And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer the questions of why. The Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because you actually think I actually script this part out? Are you kidding me? This part right here? No. Man, I make this up on the fly every week. Except this one. Part of this is to follow through with the old adage, sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble all over the place. You can find me pretty much under that name all over the place, social media. I don't know why you would want to, but some people do. I don't get it. Some people need to get out more often, unless it's 62 degrees. I'll explain about that in a minute. So we've got a show, and I'm gonna warn everybody ahead of time. I may be a little off my game. It will become known pretty quickly. So, starting as usual, top left-hand corner of North America's bingo card, outside of Calgary, inside of Calgary, around Calgary, way, not quite Nunavut. I know, you're not anywhere near Nunavut. Evening, Dalan.
Evening. You're
close to Yellow. I know you're closer to Yellowknife than you are to Nunavut. I know.
Just for a guy who gave me the gears on New York geography a few years back,
I think that's pretty much it. Just north.
Yeah,
it's about right. I'm going with that. It's close enough. At this, trust me, from everywhere on this planet, pretty much north is Nunavut. I think that's pretty close to accurate. It's just don't go looking it up. Making me look bad. It's kind of, oh god, I can see it is fine. From the south of him, from the Midwest of the U.S. Good evening, Brigid.
Good evening.
Stretching this out, and maybe I can bypass him actually saying, yeah, you're close to, whatever. Outside of outside of CF DC, I think is the nicest way of putting it. I go ahead and say more about that, but really we don't want the little red dot on the back of my head lighting up and
yeah. I don't have anything smart aleck to say right now. So
yes,
good morning,
especially after all that. So yeah, it's about that time. Let me cover a couple of bases real quick, because like I said, I'm not on my best this week, and for those of you that watched the end of last week's show, you know full well why. I do have a drink for tonight. Believe it or not, it was it was in a manager's special closeout bin at a gas station. So this week it's 12 Gates West Coast style IPA, India Pale Ale. I don't know why. I wanted to try something. I don't believe I've tried a 12 Gates, so let's see what happens. The worst that can happen is it's not any much better than anything else. Dalan, comments? Because I mean, you know beer better than I do.
Let's take a look. Hold the bottle up again.
It
was alt tabbed.
Sorry, it's you got 12
Gates Westo.
Yeah.
At least it's not 13 Gates.
Well, see, the funny part of it was I was talking with the little one about it as we're walking back. There's a story behind it, and I'm like, okay, well, how many gates are there? All right, there's the gates to hell. There's the pearly gates. There's the oak gates you can build in Minecraft, and he's just like, well, there's Bill Gates. All right. There's Gates McFadden. That's 5.
Wow.
After that, I've kind of lost what the other 7 are. And so help me if any of you say the 7 gates of hell, you're my people, but you need to no, don't do that. Don't look that up, kids. Don't ask your parents, or better yet, ask your grandparents. That'll be a fun explanation to the mortuary why they died from a heart attack. Or that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Bridget's got herself muted because I'm sure she's just laughing really hard right about now. You have no idea what the 7 gates of hell are, right? You don't.
No.
Good. we're just going to keep it that way. Dave motherfucking Foda would probably know at this point, but it's a whole other thing. Whole other thing for later. Anyway, so everybody, thank you very much for being with us tonight. If you are watching with us live, of course, please take advantage of the live chat system, of which we've got another of you guys over here. Trippin's there. Stephanie. Love Sora. Yeah, that's all we got out there at the moment. So, hi guys. Yes. I'm a masochist. I love wine, not beer. True, as far as the wine part. As far as being a masochist, no. This is experimentation. It's not so much that I'm a masochist, which I'm not. It's more a matter of I'm still continuing to try beer once in a while to find something that maybe I like. There's a story about it. And as far as to, the wine thing, I kind of thought it was probably a good idea not to combine a drink of wine with beer, because that's usually a bad combination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mixing your booze is not
recommended.
No.
Yeah, definitely not recommended. So I will open it momentarily. It's still cold, just out of the fridge, and we'll figure it from there. Let me get everything rolling, and I'll explain all of what's going on. So, with 5 minutes on the clock, your 5-minute freestyle starts now. 48 is what I titled it. 48 is what my wife should have been today. The 11th. Well, at this point, from my recording time yesterday, the 11th of July. August. Sorry, I'm running too many things simultaneously because we were married in July, and her birthday was yesterday. And I held it together last night during our Friday night radio stream, which ends at 12:30 a.m. my time. So we ended, first half hour into the new day. I held it together until about the last 30 seconds. And, what could I do? I bring it up because there is actually a thing that kind of goes along with this. And you guys know full well that I always try, even though I'm not always successful, I always try to make these talks not specifically about me. It's hard to because, well, it's me and, well, it's my time. But there's something that I really, really have really tried to do on occasion. This house that I talked to you guys from, this is the house that we built, not with our own two hands, but we bought the property and then had the house built, which in and of itself was an interesting proposition, let me tell you. This was the house that we sort of designed. I helped design it. So the master bathroom has a shower that a lot of people look at and go, "Oh, you got to be kidding me." Since we were building it, we could get away with it. It's 4 foot square with 2 shower heads on either side. And for the last 13 years, every once in a while, I get into a really, really bad mood. Really bad mood that I will admit. I just want to just sit down in the shower, let the water flow over me, and just sob my heart out. I still have moments like that. And every goddamn time, I can't. I don't know what it is. I get there. I just sit down in the water and just let it all just flow over me. And I can't because the moment's gone. And I don't know if it's because of the history or what, but I just don't have that pressure valve happen the way that I want it to. Now, like I said, I try to make these not just about me, but about something that other people can at least take something out of. So I'll give you this. We grieve how we grieve. We laugh how we laugh. We worry the way that we worry. But most importantly, we grieve the way that we grieve. It's hard for some people to understand that sometimes. Some people never get over something, and that's not necessarily a fault of their own. There are some things that are just that important. And before you think it's just for other people that you have a really close connection with, I ask you, do you still remember the death of your first pet? Do you remember the death of Mr. Rogers? Mr. Hooper? Or Henry Blake? I still cry sometimes about my first dog. And she died when I was about 12. Whatever time it takes for you, however long, it's okay. You're not alone. It's episode 222 on the docket, Your Honor. It's Book of the X Club. Yeah, I know. I could have put, Book of the Year, Book of the Month, Book of the Week. Who cares? It doesn't really much matter. Book of the Millenniums. Millennia. I remember how to say that sometimes. English suddenly becomes your third language in the middle of a show. It's not going to be a really good show.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't had anything to drink yet as far as, alcohol. I had coffee an hour and a half ago. A little more. 2 hours ago. Yeah, whatever. So yeah, it's gonna be one of those nights. Oh, and as an aside, by the way, if you wanted to see a couple of pictures of what my wife used to look like back in college in '88, I put a couple of pictures out there on social media, so you can see that. What was really freaky about it was that her roommate at the time, in one of the pictures, was automatically properly tagged by Facebook, which I don't know if I've ever uploaded that particular picture before, but that was a little freaky. But at the same time, okay, yeah, it's what are you gonna do? But we shall see. Anyway, we're gonna work from there, and we're gonna basically go off a little bit on religion, and I should actually say religions plural, because, well, there's a lot of them that we can kind of go off of, and trust me when I say that some of them are not the ones that you're thinking of right away. Yeah, we'll get to that. Anyway, since Heretic Woman is still in the process of making her way home, and by the way, Hun, if you're watching, we're glad that you're still safe. I know it's going to be limping home, but good luck. For those of you that didn't know, they were on the motorcycle out west, and motorcycle died.
Yeah,
that's the nicest way of putting it. Somebody blew the engine, and I know who it wasn't. So you guys have fun with that one and figure it from there.
Motorcycle fall down, go dead.
Well, it didn't fall down. That's the thing. Fortunately,
which is probably a good thing,
Yeah, it basically the motor kind of through a rod
Cylinder.
in the motor? Cylinder? Yeah.
Yeah, cylinder went poof.
Yeah, which is never a good day at the same time. It's better than, the tire fell off of the spindle. That would be bad.
Yeah.
That would be exceedingly bad. So anyway, you just good luck getting home safely, please. Anyway. So since she is not here at the moment, it falls to me to go ahead and remind everybody that, there is news about Raif Badawi, or at least in his circles, if you will. For those of you that have not been following this, I know, we're going to get to that in a second.
Oh, Canada.
Oh, wait, because there's...
sister.
Yeah, exactly right. Raif Badawi's sister was picked up by the Saudi government. Let's see, it was...
Not to be a surprise there.
Yeah, 2 activists. Let's see. There we go. Including Samar Badawi. According to this article, quote, who the U.S. State Department awarded the International Women of Courage Award in 2012. So you get that one over there. She was one. I don't recall. Sada was the other one. Who was that? Nasima Al-Sada, campaigner for women's rights. Both were detained this week. And for those of you that did not know about the rest of this, also, apparently, this past week, they sentenced a man to crucifixion, a death penalty, as one might expect, but they do it in the realm of the convicted is decapitated, and then the body is strung up, for lack of a better way of putting it. Some while ago, I had actually talked about the idea of somebody that's put into prison for 300 years. If they die in prison, their remains are held until their sentence is done, and how here in the U.S. that's absolutely an unconscionable, barbaric idea. So the idea of stringing up somebody's body like this is, you can well imagine, does not go over very well in a lot of circles, including the Canadian circles. Dalan, here's kind of where you pick it up, because things have gone poorly.
Yeah. Now, to quote King Ed Rock from Beastie Boys, is they told the Saudi ambassador to GTFO.
Well, no, wait a minute. There was a tweet that started the whole damn thing off, as I recall.
Oh, would that be the meme?
No, it was sorry, I'm in the process of trying to quietly open this thing. It was basically the tweet that basically said, look, we've got real misgivings about you guys kind of doing this stuff, and you really shouldn't,
Oh, yeah. And it downhilled from there, because there's been a lot of word salad thrown back and forth.
True.
Which ended up with, as I recall correctly, the dismissal of the Saudi ambassador from Canada. Basically told him to GTFO, and there was also Saudi kicking the Canadian ambassadors out. But then came a tweet from the Saudi official Twitter account of an Air Canada jet flying towards the DN Tower a la 9/11.
Yeah.
A very veiled but pretty freaking obvious threat, which was then, of course, taken down with all apologies, like, oh, gee, we were trying to depict, you guys, flying your ambassador back. I mean, it was just one great big pile of horse shit. So basically, there's a threat. There was accusations that, how dare you tell us how to run our country?
Yep.
And the really interesting part is that amidst the fact that all these threats were made, Canada's two closest allies, the United States and the United Kingdom, have elected to do, to quote Malari from Babylon 5, nothing. Basically sit on the sidelines, eat popcorn, and watch somebody who has disagreed with both nations on a couple of things recently twist in the wind. So,
well, with Trump in office, are you surprised?
That's going to have any freaking oil left after you finally wake up and realize that Saudi Arabia is not worth dealing with. We just might have to jack the price a little bit to the point where you're going to start accusing us of having weapons of mass destruction. And, you know, I've been relatively quiet. I've been relatively neutral on a lot of things because, well, let's just say if anybody found out that I was, more liberal minded, they would throw me into a category of person that would actually make me want to shoot myself. But no, if you're so willing to let your friends burn because you're afraid of either being labeled Islamophobic or losing your sweet $2 a gallon for gasoline, then yeah, screw all of you. I'm done.
Yeah. By the way, if you didn't already see this one, I figured this was just about appropriate. Yeah, for those of you that are listening, it's a animated GIF. It's an animated GIF of a very sweet-tempered Fluttershy who is very upset and yelling and saying, "If I had fingers, I'd be showing you one." And it's because she's got hooves and not hands and fingers. For those of you that, for whatever reason, didn't figure that part out. Because, it seemed like the right thing to do.
Yeah, Stephanie, sorry, just reading open chat here. Stephanie says, I am deeply ashamed that the British government is crawling to the Saudis instead of supporting Canada. Steph, I've been watching a lot of what's been going on in the UK. You've got, I got to say, you guys have a lot of problems of your own. Yeah. And unfortunately, I mean, yeah, we're probably in for a bit of a rough patch, but you guys really need to get your own house sorted first. I mean, I'm fully supporting whatever you guys got to do, but yeah, it's a mess out there right now.
Yeah, we know full well all the shit that's going on with you guys, with amongst other things, Brexit. Yeah, there's enough crap going on. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about Brexit. I'm talking about the fact that there is a crime rate going on over there. They know who's doing it. They know why it's being done, but they refuse to do anything about it because, oh no, we might offend somebody if we call it out.
I know.
So yeah, let's let our own people suffer because, image, it actually, it sounds like just such the British thing to do. Christ.
I was pointing out Brexit because there's a lot of shit that's going on with that, but that's only one item.
Oh yeah.
I know. There's a lot of other stuff that's going on over there. We know it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I will say on behalf of all of us that give a damn about this stuff, we're pretty pissed at our government too right now. And yeah, the government doesn't always speak for the people, for what it's worth.
Yeah, but
yeah, I know.
Yeah, looking at the opposition, sorry guys, I get the feeling there's still going to be a little bit more Cheeto dust in the White House for the next little while. I'm sad to say it, but
I believe the expression "thanks for nothing" comes to mind.
Yeah, a lot of those letters I'd like to send out to certain representatives, but again, I don't have a say in how that works because, well, I'm not an American citizen. I can yell and scream all I want, but I can't make that check mark in the ballot box that says whether or not red or blue gets to rule the day.
Yeah. There's only so much that we can do all together. However, since we don't have any other news that would be in a much better category, unfortunately.
So here's in the much better category for you. I went to my local coffee shop.
Is this about Rafe?
Oh, no. I was going to say politics in general.
Okay, well, table for about 5 seconds.
Okay.
Because as of the recording of tonight's show, then, it is now 6 years within 26 days since Raif Badawi was unjustly incarcerated for thought crime. Our hopes and our thoughts are still with you and your family. And I ain't letting this go until you're gone. Because that's one of those things. So if you've got a good at this point, go right ahead, because after that, we're going right into the meat and potatoes.
Well, the good is that while this is not going to be something that's going to be a quick fix, quick, fast change, the foundation of the people who are our government officials are changing in this country, in the United States of America. And at my local coffee shop, there's a young man who works there, and he was running for a local Democratic seat. He beat out his Republican counterpart, who's had the seat for years and lots of political clout. The guy's this is a young man versus somebody who is experienced, been in the field, yada, yada, yada. The people are speaking with their votes, and they're making the changes at the level that they need to, so that when we get the people in the higher offices that need to be there, they will have the foundational support they need to get shit done. I know it's not a big thing.
No.
But I'm willing to take a little thing to work up to the big thing at this point.
Yep. There's an idea that I've been kind of sitting on that I think we may end up talking about next week. And for a preview about it, it's a matter of fair play. So keep that in mind, because I need to put that into place. So we've got that for next week. That's a whole other thing. Anyway, as of this week, though, like I said, the book of the month, week, day, hour, don't care what number you want to put in there, club.
Debbie Does Dallas?
No, that was never a book. At least I don't believe so. Yeah, by the way, the beer.
Yeah.
Is it good?
No.
Tastes like beer?
Well,
not liking it?
Not liking it. It's too bitter.
Yeah. Rule of thumb, IPA means bitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the strongest, bitterest beers are almost always IPAs.
Okay.
It's because the original recipe called for a lot of hops because to act as a preservative for, the long treks through India. That's kind of where the recipe came from.
Okay.
I'd honestly say the only good IPA I've had in a long time is one called Alexander's so-called India Pale Ale, which tastes absolutely nothing like an India Pale Ale. I drank quite a few of those here back home. I went on one of my first on-sites and I decided to order an IPA at this one restaurant, and holy crap.
It was good.
No, actually it wasn't. It was compared to what I was expecting, that beer was the alcohol equivalent of a fist to the face.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Learn something new tonight then. All right. I will try to remember that for another day. Just see what happens. All right. So anyway, as far as to the book of the whatever club, I want you to know, as I was writing up the description for the show, yes, it is uncommonly short this time. And it's basically because I started to write a little thing about how I kind of feel like some religions, Catholics, kind of LARP. The Bible is kind of a LARP rule book for them. I thought that was probably in bad taste, and I kind of took that all out, and I just said, I don't want to rewrite all this. Let's just stop here and this is all I need. So you get the idea. Dress up and everybody's a cleric. All right, sure, yeah. Just fine. I mean, I was going to make some kind of reference to, you know, the occasional thief or rogue because of, you know, holding on to gold, but that's probably also kind of tasteless. That's a whole other thing for another day. So I went along with this, and believe it or not, after I thought about Roman Catholics, because they are arguably the most pomp and circumstances kind of group as far as to their religion. They are the robots. And Dalan knows. We've talked about it before. They're the robots.
Yeah, they are
scary ass motherfuckers.
Yeah, well, when you look up, you know, ostentatious in the dictionary, you usually see a picture of a Roman Catholic church.
Can't imagine why.
At least in the ones I've been in, compared to the church that I grew up in, even a small Catholic church was nothing short of opulent by comparison. Now, there was but there was a historical context. This church was about 500 years older than the one I attended. So, you know, it had a few years to accumulate stuff. You know, I mean, like George Collins said, you know, a house is just a place for your stuff. You know, and the Catholic Church is a place for everybody else's stuff. You know,
yes, especially.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm not.
Like you go to. Yeah, I mean, the older a church is, obviously, the more stuff it's going to have in it. The more, Brigid, especially Germany's. Oh, I'm sorry, you.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it out loud, but it was.
And I see. Yeah, I now I see what you did there, you son of a bitch. No, but no, I've even now I've actually wanted to go on a tour of churches in Europe. Not so much to get the spiritual experience, but just to see what a medieval grade stonemason capable of doing to have a church last this frickin' long and survive the stuff that it has survived. Like from what I've heard, these things are nothing short of architectural miracles.
Yeah,
some of them are gorgeous.
Yeah, and like
I've just seen pictures.
Yeah, and so have I. Like I took a history course in university, and part of it was, one term was ancient history, like Greeks, Romans, Romans versus Vikings, which was epic, I might add. But then the other half of it was medieval, including things like the Renaissance, the Reformation, you know, and also right around the time that the the original Freemasons got together, and we didn't really focus too much on that, but I'm reading a book on them, and it kind of draws parallels. But the fact that these guys built this kind of stuff, and I mean, just to see it and to get a taste of that history, I think would be well worth the trip. You know, don't necessarily have to believe in the Sky Daddy that it was built for.
Sorry, I'm just having a little bit of evil fun.
Yeah, no, there is no Illuminati. Okay.
Damn it.
Oh, believe me. Okay. I've done some research on this because I had an interest in joining the Freemasons a few years ago. I really did want to because I like some of the ideas they stand for. Betterment of humanity. Charity without recognition. There are a lot of hospitals that have had substantial donations to their construction by Masonic guilds or lodges, sorry. But it's never really advertised because they just want to help. They don't necessarily give a damn about being, made known as a public contributor. About the only exception to that are the Shriners. You guys have heard of the Shriners hospitals, the free children's hospitals?
Oh yeah.
And they're very well staffed. And the Shriners are actually one of the offshoots of the Freemasons. The dues to be a Shriner, the annual dues. Last I checked, they're about $3,500 a year.
Does that include a fez, or do you have to supply your own?
Oh no, that includes the fez.
Well, it's a bargain then.
But like, there's also the there's the Air Force, Shriner's Air Force, where they ride around on their little planes. There's the motorcade where they ride around on their little like Power Wheels vehicles.
Okay.
But that shit's a badge of honor to these people. Like there's the biggest thing about Masonry, Freemasonry, is the symbolism. Like symbols, colors. I've listened to podcasts on all of this stuff, and it was an education. But anyways, wow, did I Amtrak this? If the Illuminati existed, I would at the very least consider myself an agnostic so I could get in on that action, man. Come on.
See, the reason
to have my finger on the pulse of the world, fuck, sign me up.
Sorry about that. The what happened is that I sent a quiet message over to him because I said, "Who came first, the Freemasons or the Illuminati?" So it's my fault.
Yeah, he threw the switch. I just derailed the train.
It's kind of what I do. Anyway, so there was also something else that was mentioned. Stephanie, who said you should look at the Orthodox Catholics, also the Greek Orthodox, are also nothing short of they are the pimps.
Oh,
they are the pimp daddies of Christianity.
Have you guys ever been to an Orthodox wedding?
No.
I've been to two.
The only thing I can tell you is I love the guy who wears the construction hard hat with the crucifix up on top, and when he has to sit into a car, guy's got to lean over and actually press it down because it's on a little bit of a hinge, so it doesn't pierce the. Yeah, I
attended two Orthodox weddings in my lifetime. One was local in my hometown. The other one was visiting friends, and everything was not English.
Yeah, it's probably Greek.
You know what? I think you're right. I honestly, I wouldn't know that language if it came up and slapped me in the face.
Because Greece has got Greek, which is Greek to you.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Greek to me is never a valid excuse in Greek class.
Yeah. Okay. All I can ask is if anybody knows Greek, if the word amen in English is in Greek, then yeah, it was Greek that I was listening to. But the ceremony ended when they placed a glass chalice on the ground, covered it, and the groom stepped on it. And I was half expecting everybody to yell Mazel Tov. I'm like, no, wrong religion.
Wow.
I
would have. I was thinking exactly. Well, no, wait a minute.
The Mazel Tov part.
Yeah, no. There's a Greek thing for throwing china at a wedding.
That's at a dinner party to show appreciation. No, I know what you're talking about.
Because I'm wondering if it's all kind of all wrapped around itself.
But like they didn't say like at the church they didn't say it was Greek Orthodox or anything like that. They just said it was Orthodox.
Yeah, which would typically be Greek Orthodox.
Yeah, okay. So if that's the case, then yeah, two Greek Orthodox weddings. Okay. The LARPing is pretty hard. Like I said, there's a look at
what I started now.
Okay,
shit.
Look, I have been to in my lifetime, I've been to Lutheran weddings, Anglican weddings, Roman Catholic weddings, Greek Orthodox weddings, and I'd say as far as all of them go, the ones that felt the most sort of traditional, like adherence to tradition, were the Orthodox ones. It just felt, it felt old. Like I didn't get the sense of any kind of modern twist on anything. Every Lutheran / Anglican wedding I've been to, there's actually, at one point, the congregation has busted out in laughter. And usually because the minister like cracks a joke. And I mean, it's like, wait a minute, this guy's actually trying to be funny. The scary part is he pulls it off.
Marriage is what brings us together today.
Yeah. Okay. Not quite that bad, but yeah, the Catholic weddings.
That's glorious.
Yeah, the Catholic weddings I found to be dry.
Yeah.
Very. You know. Oh crap! I'm without booze tonight. Oh, Stephanie, can I touch you? Put the Craig Ferguson.
Animaniacs one with plucky Looney Tunes. Tiny Toons one with plucky duck.
Well, yeah, they did. I'll find a couple of them to put in there, including the one that Jack Benny did.
Yes,
it was worth it. That was totally.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're sliding way. We're sliding off the base over here. Stephanie had gone ahead and said Russians are Orthodox because Constantinople. Shut up. Sent envoys to
drink
richly desert. Fuck.
There we go. Yeah, richly dressed and such luxurious guests that they got the job of Christianizing the people.
Oh God. I'm not doing that to myself again. That's I would vote, except that I'm in the office right now, and if I did that, it would be a mess that I would have to clean up.
Yeah. But you know, you were talking before about the LARPing and stuff like that with the Catholics. I wouldn't say that they are the worst of the litter, though, when it comes to, you know, a Book of the Ages club for the Bible. I'm gonna give you a slight pass. The older religions are concerned, the Roman Catholic and the Orthodox Catholics are arguably the worst of the lot, and I can prove it very easily. Okay, hit me.
All right. Oh God, okay. For those of you that are or were at one point Catholic, I know for well that you're going to really, really, really hate me for this. I'm looking for a prop. Oh, I can use this for a prop. Okay. You guys know for well that I've got my little Enterprise over here.
Pew pew pew.
Shut up. But this is one of the old ones. I'm showing you that so I can show you that this. Yes, it does the whole.
Very cool.
Okay. Oh God, I hope the little one doesn't wake up for this one. How can I prove that the Catholics are the big time LARPers of the ancients? With this. Through him, with him, and they do the whole incantation thing, believing that they're going to transmogrify a piece of bread.
Transmogrify.
And they believe this. You tell me they actually think that they're casting a magical spell. Do you or do you not concede the point with that piece right there?
I believe that upon consumption it changes.
Yes.
But they're
so see, if you wanted to prove it, if they want to prove it, if they're really truly dedicated, what they do is they would hold down one of their own, preferably somebody old and didn't have many years left to live. Probably one of the priests themselves, because anyway. And then what we do is after they consume it, what we could do is we could cut open the stomach and see if it actually did change.
Okay, Caligula, we're not going quite that far, and this one's been done before. And
nobody said that they had to die. That's what medical science is for.
Yeah. Okay.
Guys.
Wait. Look. The same science that allowed the two parents, the one where the father was getting corrective lenses for his eyes, right? So because that did not save the life of the child because they felt that prayer would work better.
Yeah, about that. Brigid, you are medical.
So we could take those people and use them as a guinea pig.
Hold that.
Just give them an emetic and let them throw it up, and then you can DNA test it.
Yeah, see that's nice. I was actually going to go with the whole. Where's the ethical problem with cutting somebody open?
You don't have to do that,
guys.
Well, we could do it if they're the ones of the kinds of people who let their kids die.
Look. There's a very simple way to do this. Doesn't involve vomiting, doesn't involve eviscerating somebody ethically. No. You go to the church.
Yeah.
You let him do his babala, whatever the hell it is with the whip over his head.
It tastes like chicken.
That
It's
tastes
actually
like
been
pork.
reported that I was going to say it's been reported that people taste like pig.
Okay, chicken, pork. Pick your white meat, for crying out loud.
You know, that's really disheartening if anybody is Jewish.
See, that's why I like baby. That's why I like to eat baby. Baby is the other white meat.
See, that makes you wonder then. No, right. No, Jews don't have communion, so yeah, they don't have to worry about it.
Well, no, I was thinking with the we'll play the tape back later and make sure that everybody's on board. Okay, yeah. Here's the deal. As far as the oldists are concerned, yeah, Catholics ain't got nothing on nobody. They believe in these incantations. But then we get to a small problem because then you end up with the Church of Scientology.
Yeah.
We want to go ahead and we want to talk about LARPers. Oh my God.
Oh boy. And it's too bad Heretic Woman's not here because, oh boy, she has got a mile-long hate boner for these guys.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
Hate boner. That's a new one for me.
Yeah. I'll say this much.
I've never heard of hate boners.
I've actually met somebody who was a former Scientologist. She lived in my housing complex back when I could still be considered happily married. And man,
sorry, that's just for me for later. Sorry.
Yeah, there were some stories that could be told. As a matter of fact, her ex-husband, which is she actually got out of the church after the divorce. He was still coming after her.
Scientologists?
Just harassing her. Apparently they were up around here too. But yeah, these guys, they take the crazy to a whole new level. You know what? An incantation over a fake Star Trek battle or fake Star Trek habitation bridge or whatever. That's nothing compared to these guys. I mean,
Just can't let it go. Let it go.
And the other thing too is that, okay, there are tiny slivers of loose evidence. I use that term very, 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 very loosely to indicate that some of the stuff you've read in the Bible possibly, remotely, but possibly could have happened.
Okay, to make sure that we're all on board, that would raise the from fiction to historical fiction.
Hold on.
If
yeah. Okay. My case in point. Now again, this all could have been nicely spun BS. It's possible. Mm-hmm. But I wish I could remember the name of the show, because when I watched it, I was young. But they were talking about the Book of Exodus on TV.
Okay.
Which is a favorite one because, you get to free the slaves and kill the bad guys, which is the trope of just about every action movie out there. But there was talk that the Sea of Reeds, the place where the Israelites allegedly crossed the Red Sea when God parted the waves. Now, word had it that they had done some kind of deep scan or whatever of the floor of the Sea of Reeds, and found that the sea floor was actually of an odd shape, and that a gale force wind could theoretically blow the water hard enough to expose the floor, allowing people to cross. But again, I'm thinking, okay, how deep is that water? Never been to the Sea of Reeds myself, so I really couldn't tell you.
Yeah, most people haven't.
Yeah, so how deep is it? And if the wind is blowing that hard, wouldn't you become one of the things that that would classify as what the wind is blowing, to borrow one from Ron White. But to my point, with these tiny little shreds of speculation, I guess you could say that, you know, could suggest that there's a possibility. You look at the true history, or the, you know, what the Scientologists eat up. I mean, come on, even Ken Ham's got to look at this and go, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's nothing to suggest that any of it is even close to remotely real. I mean, the what's the name of the device that they use?
The e-meter.
Thank you.
Yeah, how scary is it that I knew that right off the top of my freaking head, man?
Oh, how did Sean Kennedy put it? It's like 2 cans of asparagus with a wire, and that's an e-meter. And that's going to measure thetans in every person I've talked to. They can't take it seriously. I mean, not that they should, but yeah.
I'm with you.
You know, and the really scary thing is, I remember when Dianetics was on sale.
Yeah, on TV.
On the TV.
Yep.
You know,
you and me, yeah, 70s. I remember.
Yeah, I remember that.
70s. Hell, I'm talking mid 80s here. You know, I was watching it on cable TV back home.
I was living in New York at the time, and they still had the Dianetics commercials on television.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing those as a kid, and I'm going, what's this about? You know,
it's a self-help book.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. But it was written by an author who writes science fiction. So I was really confused.
Well, you see, now back then, I didn't know L. Ron Hubbard was an author, was a science fiction author.
Yeah, neither
I read
saw
fiction.
And then I saw an interview with John Travolta where he talked about how Dianetics and Scientology changed his life. And like, okay, I remember Dianetics, and a long time to make the connection. And a lot of people say, well, you're just being naive. Like, actually, no, it was more the fact of at the time, I really didn't give a shit. You know, what you might consider ignorance on my part for a lot of things is really just indifference, because you know what? I've got better things to think about than, you know, some author whose book I'm never going to read. That is, you know, apparently destroying the world. I mean, yeah, now I'm sitting up and taking notice because, well, I mean, these guys are closer to an actual Illuminati than the so-called Illuminati.
Yeah. Yeah. And before anybody goes ahead and says, yeah, no, come on. Yeah. By the way, I will link one of the, I will find on YouTube one of the old commercials for Dianetics so you guys can see what we're talking about, because they were all in between regular shows on regular daytime TV. But, but I will also remind people, and I will link to it, the story on Wikipedia about Operation Snow White, where the Church of Scientology went ahead and infiltrated multiple levels of multiple federal agencies with the explicit intent of finding out what the government knew about the church and destroyed documents back in the day. So yeah.
You also might want to look for a I'll see if I can find them too. An interview. Tom Cruise was apparently awarded some kind of lifetime achievement award by the Church of Scientology, and there's this interview that he did, and I don't know if it's on YouTube anymore. The really funny thing is, I linked that to then producer of Pacific Coast Hellway, Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov, and he actually turned around and did a 5-minute video where he did a voiceover for Tom Cruise, and I just about died when I saw it. If I can find them, I will get you the links.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So as far as to describing LARPing, I really have to say that as far as to the most recent religion, and I have to call it that because it's what they whatever. Yeah, the Scientology. Yeah, it is the most recent. It started in the, somebody help me out, early 50s. I think is when he decided to do it.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I forget exactly what year it officially started, but yeah, believing in tech. Help me out here and see if I'm thinking of this right. Science fiction. Let's see. What's the word that I would like to? Crap. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Old 1950s science fiction B movie crap tropes.
Yeah. There was. There wasn't too much in the 40s that you could compare it to, so you'd have to. You could go as far back as the 50s, but.
Oh, actually, you know what? I think we can, because interstellar overlord kills people, banishes them. It's not too far removed from Flash.
See, I didn't think that far back, just because the Flash Gordon that I'm used to was the movie, and that I saw that in the 80s. So
yeah, that's
Flash.
Kids, don't look that one up. Don't look that one. All right, no, that's not entirely.
Don't look up Flesh Gordon. That's the porn version of it.
It's
holy crap.
That's
what, the fact that I know the difference?
No.
Or are you looking up our own vlogcast?
No. No, I didn't know this. Dianetics?
Yeah.
Dianetics, The Evolution of Science, was published by pulp magazine Astounding Science Fiction in May of 1950. And in that same year, Hubbard produced the book-length Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health.
Okay. So it goes back to 50.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to read a little bit more here. I'm trying to find where the whole oh, here it is. I think. Okay, I'm just gonna do this.
All right, while you're looking for that, there's another piece about L. Ron Hubbard doing this, by the way, which was effectively a bet of sorts with I forget who it was. I think it was Isaac Asimov. I could be wrong about that one, but the idea of, if you really want to go ahead and make a lot of money as a writer, you might as well just make your own damn religion, because then, well, everybody pays into it and you can't get taxed. So, why not? And his, like with Frankenstein's monster, his monster even ate him with the whole damn thing. But, what do we know? Anyway, so what piece was it you were looking for anyway?
Well, I just wanted to see if the Wikipedia article had anything on the whole Xenu thing, and it turns out there was a paragraph service to it. And basically, 75 million years ago, Xenu brought a whole bunch, like billions of people to Earth, trapped them in volcanoes, and detonated a whole bunch of hydrogen bombs around the volcanoes. And that vaporized them or reduced them to what is known as thetans, which then attach themselves to human hosts and are the spiritual drains on everybody. And through auditing with the asparagus can e-meter thing that we mentioned before, as you are elevated to a status of clear at different levels, and that means a certain class of thetan has been removed from your system, and you advance a level. Now, you are expected to pay for each of these treatments, each of these audits, and it ain't cheap.
Nope.
I think to go from, people like us, poor contaminated people, to the class of operational thetan, or OT, it's almost $500,000, as I recall.
Yeah.
And apparently if you reach, like OT or OE8, again, I'm quoting a longtime pundit of this. That's, when you get like max hit points and, your armor classes, invincible, and you know your head mastery level and all your warframes are prime and all that BS. Basically, no. If you become OT8, you gain mastery over space and time. And so you think about, okay, so you would maybe join the church so that you could achieve this, you know, because hey, you know what, mastery over space and time does not sound that far off, considering, you know, like, oh, just give me a little bit of money for this seed here and God will refund you. You know, where we heard this crap before. Pop off. Excuse me. Anyways, but so these people who want to be audited, who want to be purified, are then stuck working as slave labor on board their ship, basically till the day they die, because they have to basically sign a 1 billion year contract to become part of, you know, the sea crew or whatever.
5 actually, I think.
Oh, 5 billion. Okay.
I could be wrong about that one.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, when you get to 20 below, after that, does it really matter?
It's 40, but yeah,
same thing.
It's a thing. Yeah. Anyway,
but the amount that they're paid, like in their lifetime, they could never afford even to get their first level audit. So it's like, it's a humongous con job.
But they keep trying.
Well, it's levels of a con job, because honestly, $500,000 to transcend to, you know, this hyper angelic being. Okay, John Travolta, Tom Cruise, all these other people could have written a check the day they signed up and could have fast tracked themselves to the point where, well, I don't know. I don't know. Is Tom Cruise staying on Earth because there's just one more Mission Impossible movie to make? You know, say what you will about the guy. I got to say the movies he's making, like the Mission Impossible movies, I'll give him credit. I enjoy watching them just because, I don't know, they got I think they have a decent story, you know. But then again, in the theater, I can kind of separate the actor from the douchebag, you know. But yeah, that's one mess up book of the month club.
Yeah, let me kind of run something past you guys. And Brigid, you know full well, anytime you want to turn off your mic, you know, turn your microphone back on again, you're always welcome to, you know, pop in anytime, whatever. I just went and looked up. There is a number that I found at the moment about roughly how many registered Roman Catholics there are in the United States alone.
Okay.
So I want to kind of run this past you guys a second. Let's say, for argument's sake, that there are, of course, a number that are registered, but don't regularly attend. So let's go with the idea of, I don't know, a third don't show up regularly, but they're still registered. Sounds like a good number so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we take the number that I'm starting with, and I'll tell you about that in a second, and we multiply that by 0.3. For those of you that remember how to do this stuff, that means we're taking a third out of the equation. And I should remember to put those numbers where they're supposed to be, 0.3. Boom. Okay, so now I've got my number here. Oh, okay. Sorry. Brigid just gave me a little heads up as to why the microphone is off. Perfectly understandable. No worries. We'll deduct it from your pay. Now, let's go with the idea that people don't exactly give a tenth of their takeaway pay. Let's say as an average, because some will, some won't. Let's say $50. Let's say $50 as an average a week, because some will give more, some will give less. Let's kind of highball it a little bit. Let's go $50. Except that I'm a dumbass and I completely forgot what I was typing up over here. Do this again. 2 times 0.3. There we go. Okay, and multiply that by, again, I'm highballing this a little bit. $50 a week.
Okay.
As far as to money. Okay. Into the Catholic Church, theoretically, we have 70,412,021 estimated registered Roman Catholics. That means that we have 21,123,606 that go regularly, giving an average of $50 a week. That currently gives us a number. Again, I'm estimating, highly estimating, a week. The Catholic Churches altogether would be acquiring $1,056,180,315 because of the way that the numbers kind of roll together. Because there's some rounding involved. Now, again, I am highly guesstimating on a lot of these figures, and I understand that. But that's a week. And I'm giving those numbers a lot of leeway because, well, let's face it, you get around Easter, you get around, the holidays like New Year's, people are in much more often, weddings, funerals, those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
So the numbers fluctuate a lot, but let's go with that as an overall. That's in a country with 300 plus million people overall population. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of money. That's really a lot of money.
Yeah.
On the idea that the book is real. Which to date, nobody has been able to actually prove. How much money goes into Dianetics? Well, there's no way of really knowing because, they're really tight-lipped about their books. Can't imagine why. Plus, they have a long history of suing the shit out of people. But we
basically, you speak ill of them, and it's actually part of their mandate is to destroy. No, like they don't like blow up your house, but they will make sure that you are litigated basically to death.
Yep.
They won't outright come up and shoot you unless you really, really piss them off. But they will do everything in their power to basically destroy you financially, socially,
make you a
however they
pariah.
can. To basically make you completely destitute and unable to survive in modern society. And this is actually part of their mandate. I've said this before, but I really do wish. Well, 20 million copies of Dianetics have been sold.
Well,
So
how interesting.
Is thinking that's it.
Well,
but then again, we're talking. Well, that's almost 70 years worth of time to be sold, and it's probably still being sold today. So who knows?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know what? Hold that thought 1 second, because let's kind of slide along. Tech, you would know a little bit better than we would, and to the best of my knowledge, as far as the Jewish folks are concerned, the biggest See, now I've got the skit from Monty Python in my head. Their most prominent weapons are stealth and no. As far as the Jews are concerned, they're
Huge tracts of land.
I was thinking something more along the lines of if you're a chicken, it's really it's going to be a day, one day a year when they go ahead and kill you. But
oh, you're talking about scapegoating.
Yeah, well, there is that. But what I was for people though, one of their biggest things is really public shaming. I mean, they don't really go after somebody in an actual prolonged attack on somebody, other than on their character. No, I mean, from what I remember,
you see public shaming, but you also see it. You can see it inside the temple. You can see it outside the temple. You see it inside a home with a family member. Jewish people as a culture, forget the religious part of it, just
right.
as a culture as a whole, are not one to sit by and not say their opinion about something when it's something, that has a lot of emotion behind it. Maybe who's dating who is riling up the neighbors, or so-and-so started a business in the part of the neighborhood that, why are you going over there? You should come over here, that kind of thing. As far as any kind of shunning stuff, you don't really see that too much. You see more of browbeating, put downs. You could do better than that, just that. It just depends on the demographics. It really does. Is what you're depending on the demographics. Like if you go to the homeland, that's a different ball game than if you just go to the Jewish neighborhood down the street, in whatever in New York City.
Yeah,
it's going to be a big difference because you're talking about different demographics. Now, when I was growing up, I didn't have a lot of personal experience with that because I just had my mom and certain family members that were Jewish, whereas most of the neighborhood wasn't. So what I did get a lot of was silent racism. Well, I can't say racism. What is it when they don't like you because of your religion? That's not racist. That's bigotry?
yeah.
So I got a lot of silent bigotry. And I'll tell you, that shit hurts just almost as much as just have somebody come in your face and say, hey, you suck because you're a Jew.
Yeah. But again, that's social. But from the religious side, though, as far as to the whole magical part of it all, there's very little that I can recall that is truly magical, LARPy kind of stuff. Other than, of course, the well, no, wait a minute. Judaism doesn't really have an analog to heaven and hell, if I remember correctly.
Nothing that's written that I know of, at least not in the little bit of studies that I was doing before I switched to being a born-again Christian.
Okay.
So it was more of, here's God, here's God's works, here's God's edicts, here's what God wants for you. Here's how to, of course, there's always the translation and explanations. Here's how you're supposed to read this. Here's how you're supposed to read that. Because there's more than one book. There's the book, and then there's, of course, the explanation for the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't. The coffee hasn't really been working for me right now, so don't ask me what the name of it are. I think one of them's Torah. One of them's a Torah. I forgot what the name of the other one is.
The Torah, the Talmud.
Google is your friend at this point.
Yeah.
Just do Google Jewish religious books, texts. So, but the key is that I don't personally remember encountering anything like what I saw in the churches about consuming the body and blood of Christ and all that crap. Because don't forget, the Jews don't have according to the Jews, the Lord and Savior hasn't really popped up yet. According to the Christians, the Lord and Savior has popped up. And then according to Muslims, I think it's a case of, well, Christ came by, but he was more of a prophet than a savior, and the savior hasn't popped up, but the savior's on their way.
And for the Jews, Jesus was he was a rabbi, a teacher, but wasn't the end all be all.
Right, not actually the word of God, that sort of thing.
Which is, I recall,
I like how the Muslim side of things is like, oh, the Bible's right, but the Bible's wrong. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, these guys are about as confusing as Seitan Bruggenkate when it comes to shit like that.
Oh, don't! I've not had I'm not drinking any more of this. I have not drank nearly enough alcohol to go ahead.
I had to actually listen to and re-listen several times to the Scathing Atheists' explanation of the Quran to better understand what the hell I was trying to read. I've been trying to read it a bit, and it's a headache.
I've been listening to Heretic Woman do the reading of the Quran chronologically.
I'll have to pick that up.
Yeah, well, it's her podcast, Full Quranic. I'm not too crazy about the translation she's done because there's a lot of thee, this, thou, thy, then, and thus. It's written in like very old English. Like Luna would be proud. Let's put it that way.
There are some of you that get that reference. Thank you.
Points if you get it. But no, I think I've heard the story of Moses no less than a dozen times already.
Yeah.
Like basically the Quran does Moses the way the Gospels do Jesus. Except we were limited to only 4 Gospels in the current Bible. Who knows what the other 8 disciples said? Only the people who did the Council of Nicaea know that one.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who can get into that helium-preserved room in Vatican City. If you guys are Dan Brown fans, you know what I'm talking about.
Guys. You know, if we can get like a crazy, if we had crazy billionaire money, I would hire somebody to break into that vault, Mission Impossible style, and lift everything out. And it would have to be Eli. Just saying.
I wouldn't trust him with that amount of money.
Oh, God.
Given some of the things I've heard him say in the past.
No, I know. But I've met him in person, so I have a bit of his DNA somewhere. I'm sure. I don't know.
No. Okay, look, you cannot clone him. I do not need to read anything even remotely resembling a Pizzagate because of him.
God damn it! When the lake freezes over in the gorge between our countries, you remember back in the day when there was no alcohol, and in that no man's land along the international border, we could sell and buy.
Yeah.
I could do cloning on the international line, and nobody could stop me. Maybe. Brigid, is that ethically legal? Can I clone somebody in international waters and stuff?
I have no idea if he can or not. I'm sure.
Waters and
I have no idea if he can or not. I'm sure.
That's not enough. That's not enough. That's not
That's
enough.
not a no.
So,
by the way, the Talmud. That's the book of
that's what
the rabbi talking and explaining stuff.
That doesn't help me whatsoever. You know what? Fuck off. I don't care. Okay, so that's what we need. We need somebody that like bankrolled me. Us. Sorry, us. Please. We'll make it every. We'll ask him to. We're going down a really, really, really bad rabbit hole right now, and I'm thinking of how many people who richly deserve a screwdriver to the back of the head. That would be. You know what? Back to the medical stuff a second. Brigid, yeah, we've talked about lobotomizing people, and it's from the front. Can you successfully do it from the occipital region of the head with a Phillips screwdriver?
I don't know.
Okay, that's not a no. Again, that's not a no. So we'll keep that.
Okay. How did we go from a book of the month club to
It's
screwdriver executions through the back of the head?
It's not an execution. It's a medical procedure, usually an unsuccessful one. I think maybe could be. I mean,
I don't think that's standard medical practice.
The management and staff of Holy Crap the Vlogcast do not endorse nor encourage the use of screwdrivers in the back of people's heads. This is a very bad idea, even if it is for medical and somewhat ethical purposes. If you get caught in it and you get arrested, do not include us because we will disavow your ass.
If any of your IM force are caught or killed, the secretary will disavow any knowledge of your actions. Yeah, which secretary? I've always wondered that. Is there like an office pool somewhere? That's what I've always wondered about that.
No. The secretary, well, in this case now, was William Baldwin, or no, Alec Baldwin.
I can't see him using a dictaphone though. That's the problem.
Well,
I'm the only one
Anthony
who's
Hopkins beforehand.
It's nobody's okay. That's fine. Cloning is a long way from usable. Nice idea though, Steph. Reading on parade, really. I mean, come on. You're gonna tell me that cloning is a long way from usable? How do you explain? Seriously, how do you explain the Queen still living on at this point? How many pieces of her body have been replaced? You think those corgis are there because they're fun? They're growing extra pieces of her for transplantation. That's why they're always so close. They're always there. And
corgis are awesome.
You do not have the level of laryngitis required to be saying something like that.
What, that corgis are awesome?
No. What Shujin just said. There is only one person I know of who would actually come up with something that cockamamie, and he's currently been banned just about everything on the internet.
Wait, recently. Hold it.
Alex Jones?
Yeah.
I am okay.
That is so something I could actually hear him say.
I'm not yelling. I'm not screaming. I am making an actually possibly cogent idea. If they can grow human ears on the backsides of laboratory rats, they can absolutely grow new organs in other mammals.
Okay, I'm going to direct you to a book. No.
I'm sure that I have a book. I've got Modem for Dummies over there.
No, Shujin.
Yeah.
There's this book. It is written by a gentleman by the name of Scott Sigler. Okay. It is called Ancestor.
Okay.
You want to talk about cloning organs? You read that book. It is probably the single biggest cautionary tale I've ever read about being very careful about what you're doing.
Fair enough. And Stephanie's telling me that she comes from a long-lived line. Okay, there's that. And Trippin is saying she's a reptilian eating babies. Corgis have all died off. No, she's not a lizard. She is, well, she's German. So I guess that's all that we really need. I was going to make some kind of a joke about her actually not being German because she's got a sense of humor. I mean, she humored our country with a state visit, so I don't know. We'll kind of leave her from there. She is also the head of the Church of England. So,
as monarchs go, yeah, that's what they do. That's, you can thank King Henry VIII for that one.
Yeah,
big consent of the king.
Yeah, I've heard that one too. That didn't fit on the marquee for Van Halen though, so I think that's quite a. You're having a good laugh at that one, Bridge. I'm glad. I'm making you fit tonight, aren't I?
Somewhat. I'm just Real Swayze headed, just felt like crap.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we started, by the way, Brigid wasn't feeling so good. So I'm doing everything that I can to milk this for every little piece of comedic value that I can.
Yeah.
Because it's worth it. You're welcome.
Oh.
So anyway, and by the way, I actually want to use this in a second. You know what, Dalan, whatever it was you're going to say, go ahead and do it.
No, I completely lost it, so don't worry about it.
The mood is wrong. The mood is wrong. Okay, so Trippin had said organs are being 3D printed. I want to kind of use this a second because I think this is something worth finishing us through with because this actually works together. We know full well that a lot of religious groups, especially here in the U.S., who are primarily Christian of some sort or other, and I've said it before and I have to keep saying it again, Catholics, you're Christians too. Get over yourselves. Have a very long and sordid history of being conservative. Regressive might be another term for it. So they've been very, very against a lot of the whole quote unquote medical science playing God.
Mm-hmm.
Which I find to be absolutely hysterical because doesn't that mean that God did stuff that we humans can replicate, which kind of takes God away from the whole supernatural part? Yeah.
If I'm recalling correctly, didn't they throw a really big shit fit when the first pig heart was transplanted into a human?
Yep.
Yeah, and I remember the TV show that spawned. It wasn't in the TV show, but a liver. No, it was. This is what happens, you know. Something like that makes the news, and suddenly every TV network has to come up with a show that is kind of sort of tangentially related to that news story to put their own kind of spin on it.
Okay. So going back over to this whole thing about organs are being 3D printed. We've had one of the more and dare I say hopeful medical breakthroughs over the last let's go with decade. The idea of utilizing stem cells in medical uses, including, not the least of which would be literally regrowing organs.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most fascinating items that I had seen in 10 years was a rat's they took a rat's kidney out of the rat, obviously, and they were able to remove or wash away the rest of the cells, but kept the framework, the protein framework of the organ itself. And they used stem cells and pumped it into this lattice work so that they could try to find out, could they successfully regrow the kidney? Now, admittedly, they had to use it in vitro, I believe is the right term for it, for doing it in the lab. So they had, they had a protein bath that it was in with nutrients and everything, so that the stuff, would eat and be happy. And the one that I'm thinking of, and admittedly, it took a couple of attempts to try to figure out how to make this work correctly. What they were able to have was the kidney regrowing from stem cells that were being sucked through the pipework of this framework lattice that started to regenerate urea before it was reimplanted back into the rat. For those people that may not necessarily be really remembering their I would assume high school level biology. Brigid, what is the purpose of a kidney?
Purpose of a kidney is to filter out toxins.
And in the process of that, in a living, breathing organism, what does it produce?
Urine.
In the form of?
A
bear.
A bear.
Roar.
Yeah.
In the form of, I mean, you have
An ice bridge.
ice bridge. No.
With a railing.
Urine is liquid. I mean, is that what you're looking for?
That's pretty much it. But I believe the technical term for the stuff is urea, isn't it?
Well, urea.
Eureka.
Eureka.
Close enough. The point of it.
Mine's not urea. Mine is 100% coffee.
That's going to be a bad day. I mean, when it finally solidifies in there, it's going to be a really bad day for you. The point of it is, medical science has found a way, potentially, to regenerate organs. Now, it's still a ways off, but the possibility exists at this point. And Tech, I know what you're doing. We don't have that amount of money to spend on a nuclear power pack on somebody's ear.
Shujin.
Yeah, sir.
I'm going to take you back a few years.
Do it.
Because I can.
Of course.
Back when we had on the Friday night show.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to do the segment, the WTF News.
Oh, yeah.
Which I still do on Sundays, but that's another story entirely. I want to wind the clock back about 6 years. And because of something of the equivalent of the TSA.
Oh, good Lord, yes.
They grew up the body part?
This was a 3D printed windpipe. Because somebody apparently had a tumor and had to have that part removed.
I'm a tumor.
Now, from the patient, they had extracted stem cells from her bone marrow, a small amount, and it created a solution, like basically replicating these things, had taken the 3D printed piece of windpipe and had bathed it in this paste with no rejection, because it was basically a piece of the patient. So organ growing, I'm actually surprised it's not happening faster. There's probably reasons for it, and I get it. You know, there's a big difference between a windpipe and a kidney, for example,
or a liver,
or a heart. You know, I get it. But to say that it's it's here, and I think it's actually a lot more available than we'd like to think. Yeah, it's not a tumor. Tech's having a little bit of fun.
Yes. But for those of you that are listening right now, yeah, I've got it up on the screen because Tech pulled up the animated GIF of that scene.
Schwarzenegger. It's not a tumor. It's not a tumor at all.
Yeah. But
never seen it, but you know, whatever. Anyway, go on.
Kindergarten Cop. It's funny.
I don't want to see myself in your. Thank you.
No, and like I remember, like back in the bad Bush years, because I will say that there are two different Bush type years. There were the not so bad Bush years and the really bad Bush years, separated by a few years of Clinton.
The only bad Bush is an untamed Bush.
And I'm stopping you right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
Well, my point being is that you know, stem cells became the big controversy. And there was a media spin that they were taking it from aborted fetuses and all of this. And my first thought was, well, okay,
We're already dead.
Well, yeah. And I mean, yes, it's kind of a squicky subject to get into. And, you know, if there's one thing that, you know, the hard right is known for, it's the ear. When you get into anything sciencey, especially in the terms of biology, they just kind of cringe and go, ew, like Ernest P. Worrell would. But it wasn't until a speech I heard from, I think it was one of the Kennedys, about where stem cells are actually harvested from these days. It's from the blood, from the umbilical cord of a newborn baby. And then those are preserved for that person. So if that person, say, you know, 40 years from now has something where their own stem cells could potentially save their lives, rather than going, you know, mining into the bone marrow to find it, look, we've actually got, you know, a couple of 100 milliliters of the stuff on tap for you. What do you need? So when I heard that, it's just like, okay, my eyes are now opened to this thing. It's a no harm, no foul case, because the baby's born. The umbilical cord, what are they going to anthropomorphize it? Are we going to start seeing a little bit of Hinto in this now? I think I pronounced that right.
Doesn't matter. And to add to that, it's already the patient's own. Well, yeah, it would be the patient's own blood, because it's part of what's circulating and all.
Yeah.
I mean, well.
Okay. Can you just see the custody battle between a mother and a child over the umbilical cord? I think that would be the episode where Judge Judy finally drops dead of a heart attack.
Okay. Believe it or not, I'm not hesitating for comedic value. I'm actually thinking in my head, where or what could somebody do, because you know full well sooner or later that's going to become a thing.
If a lawyer can make a buck off it, you know it's going to happen.
Yeah. Or worse yet, you know, somebody help me from saying it, Liberty, whatever, whoever the hell that group is that keeps doing the religious angled law crap, connected with Liberty University or whatever the hell it is. You know, anyway, I'm sorry. But a whole other thing. But ultimately, the point of it is the whole playing medical god. You know what? Here's one. Brigid, I'm going to bring the squeak factor in here, but only because you would know better than we. The idea of directly injecting adrenaline through the chest cavity to the heart.
Mm-hmm.
This is a known, documented, and I can't say safe, but in the right situation with the right training, this is in some cases a life-saving procedure.
Yes.
And this is something that's been done for a long time, but it's something, generally speaking, the rest of us kind of look at it and go, oh my God, they did that in Pulp Fiction. Holy crap, that's insane. But it's something that gets done. I can't exactly say all the time, but it's one of those things that plays God to make sure that somebody just doesn't up and die or lay down and die.
Well, I mean, really any kind of procedure that you would do that would intervene would be quote unquote playing God.
Let's see. Defibrillation units.
That would be playing God.
Okay. Let's see. A tracheotomy.
That'd be playing God.
Okay. Removing the gallbladder from someone when it's backed up with stuff and the patient's body is digesting itself from the liver through the rest of the cavity.
Definitely playing God.
Yeah, and also kind of helps a little bit. Yeah, I try not to make these about me, but let me tell you.
Appendicitis, if somebody has appendicitis and you intervene, that's playing God.
There you go.
Hooking up a guy to a heparin drip for 2 weeks solid to keep the blood clots from screwing up and making it almost impossible for him to breathe because of the impact on his lungs.
That's definitely playing God.
Thank
How
you.
about giving people corrective lenses? That's playing God. You're changing the sight the way they were naturally born.
Yeah. So
You can make an argument for that one. Setting broken bones so they
Mhm.
don't grind and infect everything.
I mean, if they broke, it was obviously God's will if they broke.
Yeah.
I got one for you. Not even medical.
Well, I was going to say penicillin. I mean,
How
IQ.
about this?
was it?
No, guys. Modern day crops. The corn that's grown today, the wheat that's grown today, all crossbred by human hands, basically creating, evolving, if you will, more plentiful for human consumption.
Okay. Let's see how much more low tech we can go from there. How about distilled water or filtered water, I should say, to remove all the nasties that grow? Because
roads, pathways to make traveling easier.
Okay, yeah, I'll go with that.
Shoes, sandals,
yeah,
canes.
Okay. Bow and arrow.
Oh,
Birth can. You know what? Hold it right there.
Yeah,
hold it right there, because that's probably the last one that we need to hit, and a really, really good one, because that in the 60s was one of the biggest fucking stumbling blocks in the 60s and the early 70s. The pill. How effective is the pill at birth control?
about 98 to 99% effective.
Yeah.
If used correctly.
Yep. How about the IUD?
Not quite as effective. I'm not sure the exact percentage. I could look it up real quick.
Well, let's put it this way. It's better than chance, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And let's just stop there for a second, because the pill was a huge boom. The IUD is a little bit more invasive, but still helps to give autonomy for the idea of when you want to have a child and reproduce and when you don't. And in the 60s and the 70s, this became a major social stumbling block, especially here in the US, where conservatives were big time against this because of exactly that. You're playing God. You should simply accept whatever life God decides to give you, and you shouldn't be taking it away, because you're effectively killing a person. And that's the way it's been framed for the last, 60 years, you think? Is there anything that remotely resembles a person that is killed courtesy of current modern birth control then?
Unless with a scanning electron microscope, one of these conservative sperm cells has 2 arms, 2 legs, and a troll face. Can't see it.
Yeah.
No, what it is it was suddenly a break from the so-called traditional, the traditional family role of everybody having, or what everybody had back before the pill. Husband wanted to start a family, would basically nail his wife until she conceived. Oh, that was a daughter. Well, I want a son. Start over.
And it's your fault.
Yeah. And so now it's, now they got the pill, and suddenly there's that, there's a loss of dominance, or there's a loss of power, because now, and okay, look, I'm a guy. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to level with you. the idea of being able to have as much sex as I want without that possible consequence, I'm perfectly okay with that. You know? And the other thing too is that actually being able to control something like that until you're comfortable, until you're ready to take the responsibility. And you see, that's the other thing too, is because, and again, it goes back to the ew factor I was talking about before, because sex is a biological thing, and therefore the conservatives are like, ew, because, you know, God, let's say it, you know, religion has made sex such a taboo thing to the point where it's now culturally ingrained into society. And I don't care what part of the world you're from. If there's a religion involved, sex is either power, dominance, or just something dirty. But yeah, to be able to control when you're ready to have a kid, but at the same time being able to scratch that itch, because let's face it, it's an itch. You know, we are animals after all. But yeah, it was a loss of control to what was supposed to be sort of the dominant member of the family unit. And they got pissed off about it. And they're still pissed off about it to this day. And they're throwing everything from God to morals at you about it. And hopefully less and less people are listening.
Yep. So, Brigid and Tech, I'm going to give you guys a couple of last items over here. Brigid, just because it kind of plays into this. The idea that women could have as much sex as they would want at any time without having to worry about pregnancy. Although, you know, back in the 60s and 70s, you didn't really have to worry too much about, you know, sexually transmitted diseases. Okay, penicillin shot, maybe because, you know, you got the clap. All right, yeah, but otherwise you're going to be okay in a little bit. Suddenly women can have as much sex as they want. There's nothing medically wrong with that, but societally, that threw everybody up into a freaking tizzy, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The sexual revolution in the 60s, who was pushing back against that?
The church.
The conservative, the folks that had a vested interest in keeping the status quo and keeping their dominant position in the positions of power, like Dalan was talking about, wasn't it?
Well, that's still the case. That has not changed.
But as far as the medical part, what's the medical problem with preventing pregnancy for people?
Well, I mean, birth control pills do have some side effects. It can help prevent against some kinds of cancer, but it can promote others. But other than that,
and as I recall, it's not exactly a huge number that would suffer from said possible side effects.
no, I mean, but now they are advising women that are over the age of 35 not to take the pill because it can cause clots and strokes and things like that.
And isn't there aren't there cases where some women are prescribed the pill because it actually helps regulate their hormonal cycles?
Yeah. Yeah, especially people who have irregular periods and things like that. Yeah.
And especially really harsh ones. And one of the others was for acne, as I recall, because of the hormonal part too.
Yeah. But that would probably be a much lower dose than what you would take for birth control.
Probably. But
well, you know, I think about the like, you know, the pill part too. Gardasil. You guys remember, HPV?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gardasil was a vaccine against that. I think it's a vaccine.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Against the human papilloma virus, which could lead to cervical cancer. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Brigid, but Gardasil does not do anything for promoting birth control, correct?
No, it doesn't.
Right. And what was the thing? Suddenly all these women are supposed, or these girls, because they were aiming the vaccine at younger people or younger women. They're going to get all promiscuous now. They're going to go out and have as much sex as they want. Like, why? Like, I never ever made that connection.
Well,
it's like we're trying to prevent people from dying of cancer, and you're throwing Leave It to Beaver family values in the mix.
Yeah, because sex is supposed to have consequences for the woman, really bad consequences, and you're interfering with that. We just can't have that.
Okay, is it because HPV is transmitted sexually? Is that it?
Well, it's, if you're, going to sleep around a lot, then if you get cervical cancer, that's your fault. So,
okay.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't sure of like where HPV came from. How does a woman contract it? If it is through sex, okay, now suddenly a lot of this starts to make sense.
I mean, it is sexually transmitted. Yeah.
Okay. Now I understand.
And that's why they started giving the vaccine to males too.
Hey, I would have signed me up.
Well, you're too old now, but
yeah. Thanks. I need it.
Under 30, they generally don't recommend it to them because it's assumed you already have HPV by then anyway.
Jeez.
Well, it's
true.
I'll keep that in mind. And Tech, sorry, but you kind of got sidetracked off of that one. What was it that you wanted to say also, by the way?
Oh, no, I was just making a sarcastic comment about that mentality that women need to suffer, that they can't enjoy sex. It's not supposed to be a good time for them. It's basically a duty. Just loads of sarcasm there, just because I'm sorry, but
No, there's nothing sorry about that.
People who obviously have not seen the look on a woman's face when she's achieved the beautiful O.
Well, what I was going to say is that HPV, current estimates are that 80% of sexually active people have contracted it at some point. Which is a lot of damn people.
No,
it's even dangerous for guys too.
Yeah,
going off of cancer. Yeah, going off of what Tech said, if I haven't given a woman that particular face, I consider myself not having done the job right.
Yeah, we should really, one of these days I'm going to finally get a sex talk in here one of these days properly. Tech, we got a little bit left to go before we have to completely wrap this up. Was there anything that you wanted to finish off for yourself with all this whole damn thing? Because I know for this we kind of went with it and kind of straight away and kind of back and forth, and
religion's toxic. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I have my anti-theist moments, and when it comes to human sexuality, I'm very anti-theism at that point, because there's nothing in the common religions that say, hey, this is a beautiful thing. It should be pleasurable. Both partners should enjoy it. They should take the time to get to know each other's bodies, to use protection to protect against sexually transmitted diseases, to help prevent STIs. That doing so is okay. It doesn't have to result in pregnancy. It can be for bonding. I mean, hell, I've got a kid. I've obviously had sex. I've obviously been through the experience and everything else.
Yeah,
And
you
I
and
can
Goofy.
say that, at the end of the act, all the endorphins that are going through your brain and all the wonderful chemical cocktail that's going on up there, it really does encourage a bonding moment. It's a wonderful feeling. It's almost religious. The act, when both parties are enjoying themselves, it's almost like a religious experience, a spiritual experience. So honestly, folks, if you want to go have a religious experience, go find a partner that you respect who wants to spend time with you too, in that level of intimacy. Lock the door, light some candles, or some incense or whatever you like. Turn down the lights, turn up the music, and have a good time. And don't give a damn about the 80-year-old virgin standing up in the pulpit telling you you're going to hell, because that person has no idea what the hell they're talking about.
And I can almost guarantee you, if it's Catholic, he ain't a virgin.
Yeah.
Hey, molesting little boys, I don't know if that counts or not.
You know what? We're gonna leave that one there, because
By the way, to get a nun pregnant is to dress her up like a choir boy.
okay, now we're going to leave that entirely, and I'm not saying that because we're pressed for time. I'm saying that because
I love the snickering look on Dalan's face after I said that. That look he's got. That's priceless. That's great.
A whole other show, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And Brigid, even though I've been, kind of needling you for a couple of pieces here and there, was there anything that you wanted to specifically inject out of here before we wrap it all up?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Dalan and I have talked more than enough, kibitzing on all this, so I'm not going to worry about that. But I am going to drop something from the guys over the live chat. And by the way, guys, thank you very much for helping us out with all this. Like I keep saying, I do read what goes on over there. I may not react to all of it, and I may not read all of it, but there is one item that was over here that was just perfect. From Trippin. Well, actually, hold on a second. Stephanie had also reminded the Catholic Church had dropped their opposition in France to birth control because French Catholics told them to. Thank you, France. But the one that Trippin had. And this is one of those things where this is, to me, beautiful. Trippin had said, just read a bear from the California fires. Now, as a piece of context, for those of you that are watching after the fact, at this time, a large amount of the left coast of North America is on fire. Now, I don't say that to gloss over it. There are huge, monstrous areas of California and the left coast that have got forest fires raging mostly out of control. And they're still working on them. So that's what this is reference to. Just read a bear from the California fires is getting fish skin put on its paws from being burned. If I remember correctly, a younger bear, not exactly a cub, but a younger bear, was rescued from the fires and had a number of burns, and they're using fish skins to help promote healing on the skin. We, humans, have the capacity for helping an animal that otherwise might have just died. It may or may not be a naturally occurring fire. Probably isn't, from what I've understood at this point, but be that as it may. We have the scientific know-how to help creatures, other animals on this planet, just because we can. And just because it's the right thing to do. But with most of the world's religions in their books, we have dominance over those animals, over all creatures. So what do they do? I don't know. I can't say that they would do anything differently. But you sure as hell don't have it written up in the books that you're supposed to take care of those animals. All it says is that you've got dominion over them. Empathy goes a long way, man. So does medical science. It's amazing what happens when you close one book and open up another one, isn't it? It's about that time we got to go ahead and close up shop. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for being with us. Hope that you had yourself a fun time. And as always, found something worthwhile in all of our perspectives and got something to think about. So let me thank all you guys for being with me tonight. Tech, thank you very kindly for your time, man. You have yourself a restful rest of your evening or morning or whatever the hell time it is.
Starting to nod off as it is.
Fair enough.
I had a long, emotionally drawn out week, so I think I'm going to get some sleeping tomorrow or today or whatever to
somehow
recover.
That doesn't totally surprise me. Thanks for your time, man.
Yep.
Brigid, thank you very much for being the first one in tonight. I was getting a little bit worried before the show, but thank you very much for your time. You have yourself rest well and feel better tomorrow.
Thank you. I hope I do.
As always, people want to find you.
You can find me at rigidfitch2112.wordpress.com or find me on Facebook under Brigid Fitch.
Fair enough. Dalan, of course, as always, thank you very much for your time and all of what you do. And thanks for not shutting up. You have no idea how much that helps me.
Oh, it's funny. I do ramble on this show quite a bit, don't I?
Well, I keep saying, if somebody is not in an area that doesn't help us, I will steer.
Mm-hmm.
I fortunately don't usually have to. So, in any case, thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure. I know I need to get to work on the audio version of this because I know it's falling behind a little bit, which you guys can catch over at holycrapthevlogcast.com for the podcast version. For myself, if I've got a few things to say that might not be on this show, might be something else, you can catch it over at inthewind.yo5.ca.
So everybody, thank you very much for your time. And of course, for the folks that made it over in the live chat, thank you very much. Trippin, Stephanie.
We had Sora for a while there.
Yeah. And you know what? You were there. So thank you. Appreciate it. And of course, if you are listening live, all the more fun. If you're not, consider joining us sometime. You can actually have a laugh late at night if you've got nothing better to do. Because you don't have anything better to do. Come on, seriously, think about it. Okay, ice cream, whatever. You can eat the ice cream while you're watching us, listening, whatever the hell. You know what I'm talking about. If you want the podcast, like you said, if you want all of our contact links, you take a swing over to holycrapthevlogcast.com. The phone number, you want to leave a voicemail, it's 859-HCTV-554, 859-4288-554. For those of you that are in the UK, it's 1-859-4288-554. How the hell you people do that, I don't understand. I know I said I would never do it again. I just wanted to do it because I saw a Doctor Who thing recently, and I just shut up. I know what I'm doing over here. Anyway, you all have a good rest of your week. I'm going to do my best to hold myself together long enough to get all the show notes together for us as we need before I call it a night. And I am not going to drink myself drunk. Promise. I can't. I don't have any of my wine in the fridge, so I can't. But for those of you that have sent messages of sympathy and encouragement before, by the way, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. You all have yourselves a very good week. We will be looking forward to talking to you again soon. So, as always, I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And my lady, as always, Matane Fujin, I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. And happy birthday. As always, for the rest of you, take good care of yourselves. Until the next time we get together. Good night.